It's your boy, Coach K, and we back with another one. Just in case you ain't get the memo, do understand at the end of the day, you can do all the abs in the world, but you do need to focus on reducing the body fat. That's gonna be the most important thing. But like I told y'all before, me personally, I always like to start off my routines with abs. I've noticed that if I do abs at the end, 9 times 10, they don't get done. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with abs. We're gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna do 3 sets of 10 on this one. We're gonna hop on another machine after this. I'm gonna try my best to actually try to give you a little bit of dialogue as we go along. Hopefully this is entertaining enough for you, but like I said before, make sure if you haven't already, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and let's get to the money. I need you to understand one thing. If you somebody that's just hopping on the machines, make sure you stop doing that. Make sure the seat is adjusted properly so that you can maximize on keeping the tension in the area that you're trying to train. Because remember, if the seat is too low, you can miss the area that you're trying to keep the resistance in. If it's too high, same thing. Make sure you kind of play with the seating position to make sure that you're at the right angle where the seat is angled correctly so that you can keep the tension in the area that you're trying to train. I did say it's gonna be 3 sets of 10, but I think we do 3 sets of 15. But then 2, I'm bringing this up because I feel like it was a little too low when I first started. We're gonna fix it up now. That's much better. And do be mindful when you're training core. If you don't already have the core strength or stability right now, focus on body weight movements. Also, even if on an intermediate or advanced level, if you're starting to incorporate weights, you don't have to do or load the abs with a lot of weight. I do want you to understand that. I see people get on this machine all the time and want to put a 45 on there. Me personally, my abs are pretty decent. I don't go over 25. 25 is more than good enough. So do understand that when you're doing a lot of this stuff, you don't have to overload a lot of these areas with weight. A few areas that you don't need to train with heavy weight and you can get great results are shoulders and abs, just to start off. I'm gonna just give you those 2. We can talk about that a whole nother time, but we got some ab work to do. 15, that's all we doing. 3 sets of 15, we're moving on. So now we going to the next exercise. The next exercise is gonna be one of my favorites, hanging leg raises. Me personally, I don't really just like the hanging leg raises just for the resistance on the lower body, but I actually like that it helps strengthen the forearms as well as shoulder stability from just hanging. And if you notice that you rock a little bit more, do me a favor and do exactly what I'm doing. Keep the tension in the abs. Toes, touch the platform. Go up, boom, as high as you can go. You just want to get 2 of these, 10 of these. Trust me, if you start off with those will help you work up to not even having to worry about touching the feet. But also, one of my favorite things to do is, I actually like to go to the lower level exercises of the area that I'm training. A great example, people love planks. Me personally, I think modified planks work a little bit harder. And it may sound crazy because my ab strength is already more than strong enough to be able to do planks with ease. I just feel like I get more resistance, a bigger challenge when I do modifieds. So I always say, just because it is so-called a modified exercise, do understand some modifications do actually work your body a little bit harder than the actual exercise itself. A great example of that would be modified burpees in comparison to burpees. Yeah, burpees are a little bit more challenging, but when you step out, step in, you engage the body a little bit more, which makes that modified that much more difficult if you know what you're doing. So like I said, going right back into this, sometimes I like to use momentum with this, sometimes I like to break it down to the basics, but just make sure you're switching up. See which one works best for you, and if you notice both actually work, remember, every exercise has pros and cons. There's no, this does this better than this. So do understand this one thing. There's so many different ways to do the same thing in reality, but yet it can still be different within itself. Remember, breathing is everything. Make sure you're on top of your breathing. Breathe out at the top, breathe in at the bottom. Breathe out at the top, breathe in at the bottom. Do be mindful, we're not taking a lot of rest on this. 10-second rest, back to it. I'm gonna tell you like it is, once again, you can do all the ab workouts in the world, but if you don't focus on reducing that body fat, not losing the weight, reducing the body fat, you ain't gonna see the loss in the midsection or the definition that you're looking for. It's not always just about losing weight, because I know a lot of people that lost 20, 30 pounds, and they lost 20, 30 pounds, but they actually never focused on body fat. And their body looks relatively the same outside of that weight off. There's no definition built from that. You understand? You can lose weight and not build any type of definition. Sometimes you may be saying that, oh, I want to lose weight, but in actuality, what you're telling us is that you want to reduce body fat. So do always understand that. We can talk about body fat a little bit later. But like I said, when it comes down to abs, do me a favor and make sure you don't go too heavy on abs. And what I mean by too heavy on abs, this machine clearly goes up to 200 pounds. 200 pounds on this particular machine is completely unnecessary, to be honest with y'all. You don't have to do 200 pounds in order to get defined abs. So do understand that you can go up more and more with the weight, but if you don't focus on reducing the body fat, do understand at the end of the day, it's not going to give you the results that you're looking for. You need to focus on reducing that body fat. So what we're gonna do on this one, I'm gonna do about 3 sets of 30, nothing too crazy. Nice and simple, make sure you keep the tension in the abs the whole time, but let's get to the work. One thing to keep in mind too though, if you somebody who's already damn near in that low body fat percentage, you are gonna have to train abs at least 4 to 5 times a week in order to really get those washboard abs. For something as simple as like 10, 15 minutes to get the job done. And this is why I keep telling y'all, right after that warm up, just knock out your core work like I'm doing right now. It could be nice and simple. The only thing that's really making this core work a little bit longer is because I'm giving y'all information at the same time. But generally, this type of core work should take you about 10, 15 minutes max. You're going back to back with exercises. The max rest you want to take is about 30 seconds. As you can see, we on the second set of 30. We're going to get it done. But do understand, if you're somebody that already have a low body fat percentage, you do need to make sure that you're incorporating the abs. But you got core strength, you got core stability. Those are two separate things. So for example, when you're on the bench press, not only do you need core strength, but you need core stability when you start going up with the weight. Same thing when it comes down to squats and deadlifts. You're going to need a certain amount of core strength as well as core stability to be able to move the weight efficiently. So do be mindful of that. Like I said, we're going to get to 3 sets of 30. Let's get it. I know I said don't go over 70, but we about to test out this 90 because it's too easy. Can't lie to y'all, this 30 easy as shit. But do be mindful, once again, make sure you adjust your seats, very important, to be able to keep the tension in the right area that you're training. Also, when we're using machines, the whole objective, well, one of the objectives when using machines is to make sure, build and develop a better mind and muscle connection. So keep that in mind, mainly if you're somebody who wants to develop great abs, but do understand at the end of the day, if that body fat percentage ain't low enough, you ain't gonna see shit.